These are media aides to Governor Ahmed Murfentry of Adamawa State, gathered to evaluate the achievements and chart a progressive roadmap for the future. The retreat was inaugurated by Solomon Kumanga, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Strategy, who highlighted its significance in showcasing the governor's developmental milestones. In his presentation titled The Role of the Media in Bridging Information and Dissemination, Kumanga underscored the importance of synergy, professionalism, and transparency in overcoming communication challenges.
I hope that this is the first, but it should not be the last. It is very important because we know that we are headed into stormy weathers. Today, our governor is rated as one of the best governors in the nation, if not in the West Africa. Now, the challenge here before us is to make sure that that narrative is deployed both within locally, nationally, and internationally. Because as a Democrat, every Democrat will hope to climb the biggest ladder. Once you're a politician, your hope is to move forward, not to come down. And we all know that by the grace of God, His Excellency, the sky is not actually his limit. He will even go beyond the sky. And this prayer will not come to pass if we are not up and doing, if we are not attuned to our duties, functions, and responsibility. This retreat, therefore, is very, very important, and I hope that we'll listen attentively to some of the talks. It is going to be interactive, I'm sure, and that both of us who are resource persons and those of you who are participants have a lot to gain from each other. I therefore hope that we'll pay so much attention to what we'll be doing here today. With that, I now wish to beg to move for the formal opening of this media retreat for media aids and go immediately into my talk, which is the role of the media bridging information and governance. The media acts as a cornerstone of governance. In fact, the media to governance is what blood is to the human being. That is how I can simply put it. And the media connects government institutions with citizens. Key functions include ensuring consistency, credibility, and accountability. This presentation, therefore, explores structured communication, emphasizing the media's central role, discipline among media aids, and recommendation for optimization. Now, the media is a fundamental tool for disseminating information and facilitating dialogue. Media aids, that's all of us, serve as custodians of government narratives, ensuring messages resonate with the public. Resonate with the public. Coordination and structure are vital to avoid misinformation and public distrust. We all know that the governor, because he's a media-friendly governor, is perhaps the only governor that has appointed this number of media aides. Now that is not because he wants, the intention in that, if we were to interpret it, is that he knows that the importance of the media in disseminating important information. There will be no point in lighting a candle and putting it under the table. So this actually is why we have this large number of media aids. And of course, to whom much is given, much is expected. Loyalty is the key. Loyalty is the key. How can you promote somebody that you are not loyal to? It will be very, very hard. It will be artificial, it will be plastic, it will be untruthful, and the rest.
Dr. John Gamsa, the Special Advisor on Media and Communications to the Governor, emphasized the retreat's objective of reflecting on the administration's accomplishments
and outcomes. Highlight key achievements of the government. That's objective number 1. That says provide comprehensive overview of Governor Fintry's significant accomplishments in infrastructure, education, and healthcare using specific KPI. Okay? That's key performance indicators to measure success and impact. Objective number 2 is to understand media's role in agenda setting. You want to set an agenda for the next 2 years and then look at possibly what's going to happen ahead of us politically so that we can move on and ensure that we get it right. Objective number 3 of this particular retreat and this particular submission is to develop strategic media agenda. That is, outline a strategic plan for engaging with media stakeholders, ensuring that the narrative around Governor Umaru Fintry's administration is what? Is positive and aligned with the developmental goals. Is that okay? While fostering relationships with journalists and influencers to enhance public communication efforts. Essential terms to note. I deliberately brought this because when sometimes we read through what you write, you just sometimes put just sentences, phrases, paragraphs, jumble them together, and at the end of the day, not speaking to something that is a little technical that the outside world will get. I couldn't bring the statistics, but I was told on good notice by the proprietor of Kaftan that candidly all over the Federation, Governor Ahmadu Fintry appears to have more attention on the social media. He was short of giving me the figures. That means that his aces are working and they're prolific and they're developing content that is drawing attention. And if that is it, what technical words do we use to understand what it takes? What is a KPI, for instance? It serves main purposes of 1, 2. They report what? Important information to citizens and provide data that describes the government's activity, helping to ensure what? Accountability and transparency. The man told me on a more serious note that there is no governor that has his own people talking on what Fintry is doing. He was a presidential candidate of the SDP. And that tells you that he is already understanding that we're trying to bring somebody with an integrity of developing good enough to make a national note or give an identity that is going to work. And that we're not going to jump with it. So KPIs, take note of this. Agenda setting is the theory, that explains how media influences the importance, the importance placed on topics in public discourse. If you're going to talk about Fintry today, at least the chief priest told you that what is hot now as we're in here is the issue of what? District heads creation. People are trying to make political capital out of it, to make it look as if Fintry is trying to fight against the Fulani people. Somebody is trying to jump the gun, which obviously is not true. What he's trying to do is to work within the setup of the chiefdoms, good enough for people to have cultural expressions of what to do. And that's the sincerity of the whole thing. Now, if that is it, that is the agenda for today, that is the public discourse for today, what do we have ahead, at least to make it up? That is what is called media development theory. which focuses on the role of the media in fostering national development, particularly in emerging economies. Is that okay? It emphasizes how media can contribute to social change, economic growth, and political stability by providing platforms for dialogue. Is that okay? Which underscores the importance of what we are supposed to do, at least in the process of trying to impact and to influence our own environment. Media narratives. All that you write, how right are they? How wrong are they? You know, media narratives refer to the structured stories that convey messages through various media channels. These narratives shape public understanding by framing issues, putting them in context in specific ways, often including elements such as plot, characters, themes. Now, narrative, sequence, plot, sequence, characters, people, and then themes, issues that matter. In showcasing government achievements, effective media narratives can highlight successes, challenges, failures, goals, influencing public perception and engagement in government narratives. By crafting compelling narratives, I put that in red, media can enhance the visibility of government actions and foster a positive image of the leadership. I think if we're able to have an agenda for our governor and set out to work very well and do our techniques very well and promote very well, we're going to have a Fintri that will not just be a governor by 2027, but an aspiring president. One day, even if I'm not alive, you'll tell me that Fintri became president of Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening.
Umwashi Onesiko, the chief press secretary to the governor, noted that such retreats are essential for continuous improvement, equipping media aids to better promote the governor's transformative initiative.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come here to share experiences in the course of this work in the last 5 years. For me, I think I have enjoyed so much favor. In my wildest imagination, I have never thought I would one day pick up the job of a press secretary, because I had said before now that I will not do the job of a press secretary or a commissioner for information for obvious reasons. Reasons why I would not want to pick a fight with, the media or any other person, or probably be made to be Eli Mohammed, who will be lying all the time. But then, my first meeting with my principal turned out to be a good one. What do I mean? The first day I met my principal, and he said to me, "Oh, you are the new press secretary?" I said, "Yes." I'm sure some of you will be wondering. He has never known me from Adam. And how I became press secretary is still mystery to me. Some might think you lobbied for it. It didn't happen that way. I was in the office one day, and then somebody called to congratulate me that you have been appointed press secretary. I said, "No, I'm not the one." Because I don't remember asking anybody to lobby on my behalf. But it did happen. And when it happened, because I have said before that I will not pick up the job of a press secretary or a commissioner for information. And then I was wondering, I said, what happened? At some point I said, "Kai, maybe I should not pick up the job." But then a friend advised me and said, "No, please pick up this job. We're in a political era, and then you need to represent your people, you need to represent your constituency, and you need to do the needful." And so the day I met my principal, the first thing he said to me was, I am the politician. You are a professional. Do your professionalism and allow me to do my politics. He said, I have not appointed you to keep fighting people. No, I have appointed you to do your job as a professional. And so at that point, I knew that this one was divinely arranged. For him to tell me this is his expectation, these are his expectations, and I should not go extra, I knew that yes, okay, probably God wanted to test me. I'm not talking as a pastor now. I'm talking as a press secretary. And so we started. But along the line, you know that there are challenges that come with this job. And then these are challenges that, at least, as somebody who, knows what to do, you can surmount those challenges. We are talking about challenges here, and what is it that we need to do differently. I remember an instance where I had to put out a press release. My principal had asked me to do a press release appointing the Algon executives. And then I sat down, I was wondering, I said, should this come from my principal or should it come from the forum itself? But then I put out that announcement. And then I pushed it back to him to see what I have written. He okayed it. And I remember then Solomon Kumanga was DG. I also, sent it to him and he okayed it. And then we put out the statement. And the first thing I had was that somebody called me to say, now they appoint executive again for Algon. You see? So these are some of those challenges that you face. When you are not mindful of what you are expected to do, and it is not done the way you ought to do it, it leaves you with the issue of trying to manage the crisis. So as a press secretary, you must understand that you are somebody who must know how to manage crisis. Because you're going to work with people who are difficult, especially journalists. Very difficult set of people that can put you into trouble. And therefore, you must be ahead of them all the time. So these are some of the challenges. Like I said, we must learn not only to ensure that we give accurate information, and we must also ensure that we set up our answers so that we are not trapped by our enemies. You have to think ahead all the time. But because it is not about what is happening now, it is also about what will happen in the future. If you are looking at it as if it is something that is just happening now, I tell you, no. Look at the argument of the creation of districts. What it has generated. So everybody has his own thinking and explanation as to what is happening. Somebody called me yesterday and he said that your principal said, Damaze Pasakwari and Fulani. So now it has happened. I asked him, I said, how? If you are creating districts, the governor is not the one that will appoint the district head. The district head will certainly come from either the emir's palace or the chief who happens to be there. It is not the government that appoints district heads. It has to come from the traditional institution. So even if districts are created, it is to the advantage of whoever is in charge, because he will have more people now. And then another issue is that, why are we making too much noise about this issue? At least government is getting to the grassroots. More representation from the people. And after all, these are things that the people have agitated for. It is not the government that said we must do this. The people came asking, we need more districts. And if the people are asking for it, for God's sake, we are in a democracy. And you have sworn that you will work for these people. You are their servant. They are not your servants. So you are only carrying out their wishes, what they want you to do for them. So this is what is happening. And then the person kept quiet. I asked him a question. I said, why did we, ask for self-rule from the British? We asked for self-rule from the British because we wanted to be on our own. Is that not so? So the people are also asking, we want districts to be created so that government will at least come closer to us. We need to feel the government wherever we are. Probably they have not been feeling the government because they are cut off somewhere. They are far away from the government. But now that they have districts, at least they have somebody close by that they could talk to, they could confide in, and then he will take their messages wherever he's taking them. All of us had situations where we know things that are going to happen. But definitely we can't talk about them. Because sometimes you might put your principle in jeopardy. This is where we also talk about credibility and trust in whatever we are doing. Like I said, it has not been easy, but it is easy. When you have a principal like Ahmadu Umaru Fintri, things just work out for you easy. But the hardest part of this job is reconciling the political work you have to do as an advocate and a protagonist from your principal's point of view and conveying simple factual information to the public. Before I conclude, I want to ask that we need to network. We need to begin networking from now. We need to speak with one voice, and that's why we are here. And since we find ourselves doing political communications, we need to network and seize any opportunity that presents itself so that we are not caught napping. And like I said, that is exactly what we are here to do. We are here to remind ourselves that we need to work together. We are here to remind ourselves that there is no individual in this job. It is a group project. And that project is the project of our principal, Ahmadu Umaru Fintri. Therefore, we must take advantage of being at the corridor of power. We need to be honest with what we do. Even when it does not sound exciting, you must go with it. Make sure that it is exciting. Dogire Hill is a wonderful place to be. At least I can testify that. And like I said, His Excellency, our governor, our principal, is a fantastic school. Because you learn from him. The man is a school himself. A school where you need to have that kind of experience of a principal that is really a principal. And if you understand the man, you work with him without any problem. So let's return to that school. And let's tap from that wisdom and that leadership traits that comes from our principal.
In their remarks, George Kushi, the Principal Special Assistant to the Governor, and Ijabani Ijawu, the Senior Special Assistant, commended the retreat's outcomes, particularly in enhancing the quality of media engagements and publications. They expressed optimism, describing the event as a key milestone in preparing for a progressive 2025.
The thing is, much as we've heard about synergy, if that should be done, there should be a synergy so that we know we are geared towards a particular goal, so that we don't go about while we are bantering on a particular discussed topic, then your other colleagues are not aware. Then they begin to come in with all barrages and it appears as if we are losing focus. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
A time of retreat, it is time to develop. A time of retreat is a time to be innovative. A time of retreat is a time to ask questions. So today we are opportune to come together to retreat as aid to His Excellency. So it's a moment that we ought to reflect on the journey so far from January to November, December. So once again, I welcome us because we are privileged to come to learn. We are privileged to come to deliberate. We are privileged to come to contribute to what His Excellency is doing in Adamawa State, in the Northeast, in Nigeria at large.